First tonight, go for a drive in Maine this time of year and you just might see a table by the side of the road with vegetables on it being given away for free. That is a sure sign of a garden that had a good summer.
In Warren, there is a garden off a quiet road on a plot of land the public never sees, and it's doing a lot more than just yielding vegetables. 3 years ago, a new warden arrived at the Maine State Prison, on the grounds where most people would notice only the bleakness of the state's maximum security prison. He saw wasted space and opportunity.
We have 1,000 inmates, and they eat a lot of food. And I think that there's benefit for them to raise their own food and save some tax dollars and know that they produce the food themselves.
Warden Liberty started a new program, one that would allow inmates to plant and maintain a prison garden. Not everyone thought it was a good idea. When this program was started, were you skeptical?
Less than enthusiastic. Is that an appropriate way to put it?
The first garden was planted in the spring of 2016. Only inmates with a record of good behavior could work on it, and there were plenty who wanted to get their hands in the soil.
I get just peace of mind out of it. I love doing this type of work. It's not work for me, it's a passion.
The prison now has 3 acres of gardens filled with greens, tomatoes, peppers, and more. Instructors from the Humane Extension Service come to the prison to teach the inmates, 15 of whom have become certified master gardeners. Last year, the inmates grew more than 8,000 pounds of produce. The goal this season, more than 12,000. Most of the food goes to the prison kitchen, which has led to something almost unheard of: enthusiastic praise for prison food.
Oh, the salads have been incredible.
Any extra produce goes to food pantries. Scraps are used for compost, which has dramatically improved the soil. And at the other end of the grounds is another project.
Yeah, so what you see here is our first 3 hives, and we put them in place this year.
3 hives with about 130,000 bees. Another of the warden's ideas. How often do you get stung out here?
On occasion. So we have protocols in place that we don't come in here without suits, except for 207. And
a civilian master beekeeper has come in and held classes for more than 35 inmates who are learning about beekeeping. The hives might produce about 75 pounds of honey this year. But what can't be quantified, and what's most important, is what the inmates get out of the program.
I think that they learn to be patient. I think that they learn to calm down and be mindful in what they're doing.
Working on the hives or in the garden provides simple pleasures not to be taken for granted.
You're allowed to be outside. You're constantly eating fresh vegetables whenever you want them. You're in the sunlight. You got fresh air.
You were telling me that you did a lot of gardening as a kid. What was your attitude toward it back then?
I despised it. As a kid, we despise a lot of things that our parents want us to do. But then when you get older, those are the things you reach out to for your inner peace.
Growing food produces something many of these men have never known: a sense of self-worth and an ability to focus on a long-term goal.
Some of these individuals that live here, more about it in the moment, and a garden's something that takes the whole year. You actually got to start preparing for it in January.
Make no mistake about it, these men have committed crimes, some of them horrible crimes. The garden reflects that reality. As a result, no tall crops can be grown that would obscure any view of the inmates or the fences. Thus, no rows of corn. Also, no shovels, no heavy rakes, not even tomato stakes. Anything that might be used as a weapon.
One of the things we were talking about earlier is about peppers. I can't raise hot peppers because that's a potential weapon that an inmate could use and rub it in someone's eyes and attempt an escape.
Will working in the garden make these men less likely to get into trouble once they're released? There's no clear-cut evidence.
But for sure, they're getting up, they're working with a purpose, they feel better about themselves, more productive work to be doing during a day, and less opportunity to be sitting around looking for trouble.
The supervisor of the garden program, who was less than enthusiastic when it began, is now a believer. Warden Liberty has changed some minds with a compelling argument.
By far, most of these gentlemen will be returning to the community, and the question is, will they be better citizens when they return to the community? Will they be better neighbors, or will they be angry because they've been punished and put down and held in segregation for the duration here?
Many of these inmates are here because of trauma, substance abuse, mental health problems, learning disabilities.
As you know, that's just a sense of purpose it gives us.
Growing tomatoes and peppers won't solve all those problems, but the inmates and the staff agree it's a start.
I've been in the industry for 36 years now, both in law enforcement and corrections. I started in corrections back in 1984 in Kansas, and I know it that if people are treated for the reasons that they are brought here, they don't return.
Numbers alone are impressive. The prison garden this year has 3,000 pepper plants, 4,000 tomato plants. Next year, the number of beehives will likely double from 3 to 6. And in this story, we didn't have time to get into some of the benefits that have come about from the prison's composting and recycling programs, both of which were instituted by Warden Liberty. By doing a lot more composting and recycling than the prison had before, it has cut its waste disposal bill by $100,000 a year.
Wow, those are some impressive numbers.
And that saves taxpayers, that saves you and me, all of us, a bit of money.
Right.
And it is real money.
Yeah, really great work too.